Chapter 26. State Government. Let's learn State Legislature, State Functionaries. India is a very large country. It has 29 states and 7 union territories. Hence it is referred to as a union of states. It has 3 levels of government: central, state and local. The government formed in a state is known as a state government. The state government works only within the boundaries of a state. The Constitution of India has divided all the subjects on which laws can be made into 3 lists: the union list, the concurrent list and the state list. The union or central governments can make laws on the subjects mentioned in the union list. The state governments can make laws on the subjects included in the state list, and additionally, both the central and state governments can make laws on the concurrent list. However, in case of any conflict, the union law will prevail. Info Hive. Most states have unicameral, single legislative body legislatures. Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Jammu and Kashmir, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh have bicameral legislators. The structure of power in the states is similar to that of the union government. The 3 organs of government at the state level are the state legislature or Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad, the state executive and the judiciary high court. The state government is run by the chief minister and the state is headed by the governor. State legislature. A state legislature can have 1 or 2 houses. The lower house is called the Vidhan Sabha or Legislative Assembly and is far more powerful than the upper house called the Vidhan Parishad or Legislative Council. State governments' legislatures are bicameral in 7 states and unicameral in the rest. Legislatures that have both the Legislative Assembly and the Legislative Council are called bicameral, while those that have only the Legislative Assembly are called unicameral. Vidhan Sabha. Vidhan Sabha is also known as Legislative Assembly. The Vidhan Sabha of a state cannot have more than 500 members. The minimum number of members of a Vidhan Sabha is fixed at 60. However, there have been exemptions made in case of Goa, Mizoram and Sikkim. Their assemblies have less than 60 members. The size of a Vidhan Sabha depends on the size of a population of a state. The most populous state of Uttar Pradesh has 404 members in the Legislative Assembly, while the thinly populated state of Sikkim has only 32 members. The Legislative Assembly is elected for a term of 5 years. Under certain circumstances, however, the governor can dissolve the House before the completion of its term. The term may also be extended in case a state of emergency has been declared by the President. The members of legislative assemblies, MLAs, are directly elected by the people. The assembly is led by the Speaker and Deputy Speaker, who are elected by the MLAs. Once the assembly is dissolved, the Election Commission announces the program for general election to the State Assembly. A person seeking membership of Vidhan Sabha must possess the following qualifications. He or she must be a citizen of India. He or she must not be less than 25 years of age. He or she must be of sound mind. She must not have any criminal record declared by the competent court. In case of a seat reserved for the scheduled castes or scheduled tribes, he or she must be a member of any of those castes or tribes. Brain tickler. What role does the state government play in building a democratic society within the state? Vidhan Parishad. The Vidhan Parishad or Legislative Council is the upper house in those states of India that have a bicameral legislature. The size of a state's legislative council depends on the total strength of its legislative assembly. It cannot be more than 1/3 of the strength of the legislative assembly and not less than 40. nearly 5/6 of the members of the Legislative Council, MLCs, are elected, and remaining 1/6 are only indirectly involved in the election to the Council. The Vidhan Parishad elects its chairperson and deputy chairperson who preside over its meetings. A Vidhan Parishad is a permanent body like the Rajya Sabha in the centre. 1/3 of its members retire every 2 years. Thus, a person can be its member for a period of 6 years. A person seeking membership of Vidhan Parishad must possess the following qualifications. He or she must be a citizen of India and have her or his name on the voters' list of the state. He or she should not be below 30 years of age and should be mentally sound and financially not bankrupt. Brain tickler. Which candidate will have more power, elected or nominated? From bill to act. Legislation is the process of making and passing a law which has been promulgated or enacted by a legislature or other governing body. Our representatives, both at the centre and the state, the MPs, MLCs and MLAs, are people involved in the law-making process. The laws for the whole nation are enacted in the Parliament. Similarly, the laws applicable only in a particular state are enacted in the legislature of that state. A bill or the draft of a proposed law is introduced either in the Legislative Assembly or in Legislative Council of the state. The bill is discussed in the House and changes are made before it is put to vote. The bill is then sent to the Governor for approval after it is passed. It becomes an act only after the Governor signs it. There are various types of bills. Money bills and other financial bills can be introduced only in the Legislative Assembly. State functionaries. Governor. The Governor is appointed by the President of India on the advice of the Prime Minister. Thus, he is a representative of Union government. He is a link between the Union and the state governments. A governor is appointed for a period of 5 years, but he can be removed before the expiry of this period. The term can be extended as well. A person can be made the governor of a state if he or she is above 35 years of age, is a citizen of India, is mentally and physically sound, and is not a declared offender. Generally, the governor is not a resident of the state to which he is appointed, and the concerned state government is consulted before his appointment. He or she cannot be a member of parliament or state legislature or hold any salaried government post. The governor is the constitutional head of the state. The powers and functions of a governor are similar to those of the president, but at the state level. As the constitutional head of the state, the governor appoints the leader of the majority party or coalition in the Vidhan Sabha as the chief minister after the general elections. He appoints other ministers in the Council of Ministers on the advice of the chief minister. The governor also appoints the Advocate General, the chairman and members of State Public Service Commission, and judges to courts below the High Court. He is consulted by the President of India at the time of appointing the judges of State High Court. All bills passed by state legislature have to be approved and signed by the governor. If needed, the governor can hold back a bill and send it for the President's consideration. On certain occasions when the state legislature is not in session, the governor issues orders called ordinances. These ordinances remain in force until 6 weeks after the reassembly of the legislature. A money bill can be introduced in the legislature only with his or her consent. The governor also has the power to grant pardon and suspend or reduce a sentence passed by the courts under state laws. He or she can make some decisions without consulting the Council of Ministers. The governor can also recommend the dissolution of the state assembly if the government machinery has broken down in the state. In such a case, he or she takes over the administration and runs it as per the directions of the President of India. Chief Minister. The Chief Minister performs more or less the same functions in a state as those performed by the Prime Minister at the centre. After general elections, the leader of majority party in the Vidhan Sabha is appointed Chief Minister by the Governor and is invited to form the government. If there is no clear majority for any one party, then the Governor can appoint the leader of the majority coalition as the Chief Minister. The ministers of the Council of Ministers are appointed by the Governor on the advice of the Chief Minister. In this case, the Governor has no choice. He has to act according to the advice of the Chief Minister. A minister should be a member of the Vidhan Sabha. In case he is not, then he has to become a member of the Vidhan Sabha within 6 months, else he will cease to be a minister. The Chief Minister can ask any minister to resign from his post at any time. The Chief Minister is the real head of the state. The main functions of a Chief Minister include the following: to advise the Governor on the selection of the Council of Ministers and its size, to preside over cabinet meetings, to distribute portfolios among ministers, to appoint a Deputy Chief Minister if needed, to retain charge of some portfolios if needed. If a vote of no confidence against the government is passed in the Assembly, the entire ministry has to resign. It is the responsibility of the Chief Minister to maintain good relations with the central government. Info Hive. The total number of ministers, including the Chief Minister, cannot be more than 15% of the total strength of the Legislative Assembly. Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers, headed by the Chief Minister, is collectively responsible to the Vidhan Sabha. The Chief Minister is the real executive, though all functions are performed in the name of the Governor. There are 3 types of ministers in the Council of Ministers: Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, Deputy Ministers. The Cabinet Ministers are important ministers who together form the Cabinet. Other ministers assist them in their duties. A Cabinet Minister holds the overall charge of one or more portfolios and may be assisted by the Ministers of State or Deputy Ministers. The Cabinet makes all important decisions. The Council of Ministers acts as a single team. If a bill introduced is not passed, the Council of Ministers has to resign. Similar is the case if a no-confidence motion is passed by the Vidhan Sabha. Here is a picture of Mr. Nitish Kumar taking oath as the CM of Bihar. Civil Services. The civil service system is the backbone of the administrative machinery of the country. In the parliamentary democracy of India, they are the ones who have the ultimate responsibility for running the administration, which at the political level rests with the elected representatives of the people, who are the ministers at the state level. Some officers of the Indian Administrative Service IAS and Indian Police Service IPS are appointed at the state level. The state's Public Service Commission PCS also selects a certain number of officials. The Chief Secretary heads the civil service in a state. Secretaries in charge of various departments work under him or her. Deputy Secretaries, Under-Secretaries, Directors and Deputy Directors assist them. The state is divided into administrative units called divisions, which are looked after by divisional commissioners. These in turn are divided into districts administered by district magistrates. The Advocate General. An Advocate General is a legal advisor to a state government. She or he is appointed by the Governor of the state. Advocate General eligibility criteria. A person must be qualified to be a judge of the High Court to be appointed as Advocate General. The Advocate General can participate in proceedings of the state legislature without the right to vote. Recap. The lower house is called the Vidhan Sabha or Legislative Assembly and is far more powerful than the upper house called the Vidhan Parishad or Legislative Council. The Legislative Assembly is elected for a term of 5 years. Our representatives both at the centre and the state, the MPs, MLCs and MLAs are the people involved in the law-making process. All bills passed by the state legislature have to be approved and signed by the governor. The governor, chief minister, council of ministers, civil servants and advocate general are some important government functionaries at the state level.